Welcome to the Reynolds Direction podcast. I'm Monica Kulenovic with the Reynolds team of Compass. I'm stepping in for Scott Reynolds today, and today we have a great guest with us. We have Michelle from the Vero Beach Art Club. She's the president of the art club. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and the art club?
Thank you. I'm in my past life, I was an executive chef, classically trained at the Culinary Institute of America, and then I got into sales for restaurant supplies. And then I took a break from work and started fooling around with different artsy, craftsy projects. And I fell in love with wood. And I learned all that there's so many different species that are different colors and grains. And I thought it was beautiful. And so now I'm a woodworker who does all my work leans towards the culinary world. So I make live edge epoxy river tables. I do exotic wood cutting boards, charcuterie boards, lazy Susans, all that kind of stuff.
That's cool. And do you like sell them at art shows?
Yep, I sell at art shows, and I don't have an e-commerce site, but people will contact me through Facebook and say, "Oh, I'd love to have this piece," or "Can you do a custom piece?" And I do custom tables and countertops and stuff like that too.
That's amazing. So. That's awesome. Well, and that's the cool thing about the art club is you have artists working in all different types of mediums.
Absolutely, and it's like I was mentioning, it's contagious. You know, I've started branching out, doing some acrylic pours and stuff like that, and making some jewelry. And you know, it's not my main forte, but it's fun to play around with the different mediums, and you can apply some of those different mediums to your actual medium. And
absolutely
gets you a little out of the box.
Yeah. So being in the art club introduces you to other forms of art and other artists and what they're doing. So exciting. Yeah. I'm sure that can be very inspiring.
It is.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about the art club and the history of the art club and where it is today?
Yeah. So this is our 90th year. And we're one of the oldest and largest art clubs in the United States. Started off in 1936 with 6 women, and it was called the Vero Beach Sketch Club.
Yeah.
And it evolved from there. And
so how many members do you have today?
We have somewhere between 500 and 600 members.
Wow.
Today. So I think our founders would be very proud.
Yes, for sure.
Of how it's taken off.
So from 6 to 600.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's really grown up.
Yeah.
And we've had long-term shows. We do Under the Oaks, and that was the 75th anniversary for Under the Oaks. And that's been a phenomenal show for the county and for the club. We also did Art by the Sea at the museum every year, and this was the 37th year for that.
Yes.
And then we have Art in the Park in season. We do every other Sunday at Humiston Park.
Okay.
And it's a smaller show, it's a one-day smaller show, about 20, 25 artists.
Yeah.
But it's a great experience. And then we have, members invitational. There's all kinds of other little shows in our gallery and our marketplace.
And maybe some socials in there too.
Yeah. We this group works hard and parties hard. We do a lot. We have a lot.
The best
of fun,
combination.
Exactly. We have a lot of fun things going on almost every month, and a good sampling of that is Gallery Stroll. We have last month we had 371 people show up for Gallery Stroll. We're changing our format where we used to change over the gallery every 6 weeks. Now we're going to do it every month. So it's every 4 weeks. Each show gets a gallery stroll. First Friday of every month is gallery stroll, and you get to come in, look at the art, have some cheese and crackers and wine, watch demo artists, see what we do, and move on to the other galleries in town.
So you have a dedicated art space in downtown for the art club.
Yep, we're on 1903 14th Avenue, right next to Taco Dive.
Okay. So is the gallery open during the week?
Yep. We're closed on Sundays and Mondays for the most part. Our hours online are from 11 to 3, but there's usually somebody there, so we tend to stay open later.
So I'm assuming that's an opportunity for the artists in your club to display their art and sell their art?
Yeah. We try, one of our fundamental core values is creating opportunity for the artists. So not only do they get to show at at our shows, our gallery, our marketplace, but we also teach, so they have opportunity to teach their skills as well and earn money that way as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for an artist.
There is,
wants to be involved.
Yep.
That's great. What other opportunities do you offer the community? Like, I understand you have a little bit of community outreach to kids.
Actually, we've got a lot of community outreach. We, well, this month we're going to be giving out a few $1,000s to scholarships for students who want to pursue the arts in college. We do that every year. We also supply all 17 schools in Indian River County with money for art supplies every year.
Oh, that's amazing.
We work with the veterans. We work with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients. We do a lot with the source and homelessness. We do beautification projects around town. The list goes on. We've worked with the sheriff's department, the jails, goes on and on.
So all these organizations, what you do with them it's art related?
Yeah, some of it's financially related. So like the scholarships and all that, we just donate money to the kids submit their art projects and all that, and we pick who is going to get the scholarships. The rest is art related. We found that art is a great therapeutic help, especially with the veterans and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients. I like to use this one girl, our education director, Cammie, worked with this one girl who had really bad tics from Lyme's disease. And the mother had been taking her to all different doctors trying to get help and medications and everything else. And nothing really worked. And she started working with Cammie on illustrating a little book, and her tics stopped.
Oh my goodness.
The art kind of calmed her enough.
That's amazing.
And now she's on her second book. Their books are for sale on Amazon.
Wow.
And it's really helped this kid. But we get that
So it shows you that art can heal.
Yeah, and with PTSD and all of that, some of the art forms can be very meditative and calming, and it gets their mind someplace else.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it shows you how art really, affects mood
it's healing.
And it can be healing for sure.
And it's funny because myself included, but many of our members turn to art in times of trauma, and that was their therapy of sorts. And so it really is very helpful.
Yeah, I know art therapy is, it's a practice that's used.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So another connection that the Vero Beach Art Club has that I find very interesting and fascinating is your connection to the museum. So the Vero Beach Museum of Art, which is a very well-known museum, well-respected, that we have in our community. Can you tell us a little bit about how the Vero Beach Art Club helped the museum get started?
Sure. Well, like I mentioned, the 6 women who started the Vero Beach Art Club had started, and then there was people, it was the Art Alliance, then they kind of approached them and said, let's partner, and they wanted to have a facility to be kind of a community center that would be a gallery and an art center and all of that, museum. And so they partnered, they started negotiations in the 70s, and then in 1981, we did a joint lease on the property at Riverside. And the museum's really taken off and has done well, and we're excited for them. Right now, as you know, they're starting construction to renovate the whole place.
I did hear that.
We
lots of big things happening at the museum.
Yeah. So I think the expansion's going to be beautiful. I've seen the plans, and we're all very excited to see that happen. Right around the time that
Have you been involved with that at all?
No, that's really, the museum's very separate from us at this point. Around the time of COVID, the art club, the museum had to shut down because of the the shutdown nationwide, a lot of the members still wanted to do things in the art club.
Yeah.
So that's when they got their own satellite office off the museum property.
Okay.
So they tried a couple of places out and ultimately landed on 14th Avenue. And I definitely think no matter where the club grows and moves on from here, our spot on 14th Avenue is key. It's really the heart of the art district, and Gallery Stroll and all those galleries in there. And I go to all of the galleries, and it's just got a great energy and a great vibe.
Well, and I've been in there a few times before too, and it's I would agree. Like you walk around, and there's just so many different forms of art, and so many different approaches to art, and so many different like there's abstract art in there. There's, I saw some dioramas in there,
Fiber art.
Yeah, fiber art,
glass.
mixed media, glass. So all types of art are represented. So it's nice to see that.
And we hope to expand on that. We've got one small classroom in the back. The ultimate goal, and I've got this presidential box of all the past history and paperwork and all that. Those founding people of our club 90 years ago, they wanted a school. And that's something we want to morph into. We have our own type of school. We do summer camp, and we do classes for adults and kids.
Okay, so you do classes.
Yeah, in our classroom. But it's only one room, and we're limited. We can't do all mediums there. Fiber class needs a certain type of sink. We need, acoustic painting needs ventilation.
Yeah. So do you need to be a member of the club to participate in the classes?
No, you don't. But being a member has its perks. You don't even have to be an artist to be a member of the club. We've got people that are non-artists. We take everybody. We take all skill levels, from whether
So you can have art appreciation.
Yes, absolutely. And what you're doing is joining a great community. But we teach all levels, from little kids to people who've never picked up a paintbrush to master artists. We've got all skill levels, but we definitely want to branch out and be able to teach other mediums. So our hope down the line is to get an off-campus spot where we can have more than one classroom and teach different mediums as well.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Yeah. I love that. Taking art to the next level.
Yeah, there's so much out there. And it's funny, being an ex-chef, everybody, you talk about art, everybody thinks paintings. And,
of course.
I'll do these elaborate art culinary displays for some of our functions. And I'll have some of the painters come up and be like, wow, that's almost like art. And I'm like, that's why they call it the culinary arts.
Yeah, that's true.
It is
that's
an
true.
art
It is
form.
It can be an art
There's,
form.
Singing's an art form. There's so many different art forms out there, and we're not just limited to painting. And that's something I think the club really wants to get into, is exploring different avenues and making it more all-inclusive, whether it's dance or whatnot.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that so much. That's great. So if someone wanted to become a member, what would they need to do to go about that?
Really easy. Just go on our website, which is verobeachartclub.org.
Okay.
And click on...
And we'll provide that in the description as well. So.
And just click on Become a Member, and it's $75 a year. Really not that big of an expense. And there's just a lot of fun things to do. We have every month we do our general club meeting, that's open to the public. You don't even have to be a member, but it's a potluck dinner. And we also we do some housekeeping notes, and then we go into demo artists, and it's a great way to just learn about a different art form without taking a class, and see if it's something you want to take down the line. And then Gallery Stroll, as I mentioned, is a lot of fun, and we have a lot of parties going on. We're working on planning. Being that this is our 90th birthday this year, we had an opening party in November of last year, and it was a blast. We sold tables and sold seats at tables, and each table picked a decade, and everybody decorated themselves and the table in that decade.
How fun.
And we had a big party. There's a big spread on it in 32963, and it was a lot of fun. And so now we're working up this year's party is going to be end of October. I think it's the 25th, and again at the Heritage Center, and we're looking to do another sort of thing. I've floated the idea of being an ex-chef of mocking a Iron Chef competition and have it be an Iron Artist competition. So we have to work out the details. I'm not sure if that's going to be done by tables or individual artists, but it's going to be a fun night.
Yeah,
So.
that's wonderful. Sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
And sounds, so what, looking ahead to the future, so you're at 90 years. So looking ahead, you're getting close to the centennial, the Vero Beach Art Club. What do you envision for the next 10 years of growth for the club?
I think the school is number one for us.
In the same location at 14th? Or?
I think, no, I'd like to get an off-campus facility. It's a matter of we can swing the finances and the place, the perfect location for it. But I'd like to always keep our place on 14th Avenue because it's really kind of the art hub. So I'd like to just turn that all into gallery and marketplace and then have the school off campus. And, I think I could see us growing more and more each year. And so I'd like to find a place where we can expand as we grow.
Okay, that sounds amazing. And you mentioned scholarships earlier too. If a high schooler is looking to get a scholarship, how would they go about that?
There's an application which you can find on the website too.
Okay.
Probably about mid-school year, probably around December. And then I think about a month ago, they submitted their applications and their art projects, and we had judges come in, and we spread it all out through the classroom, and the judges go through and vote on each piece. And then when it's determined who gets the scholarships, next month we'll be at several different schools, I think 3 different schools, handing out checks for their scholarships for college.
Yeah,
and we've done other things. Like we had a student coming from the Gifford work program last year, and he was just an assistant for summer camp, and his name was Leo, and he did a phenomenal job. And he'd take out the trash to working with the kids to doing everything we need. And through the course of getting to know Leo over the summer, found out that he was going to school for the arts. And because he did such a great job, we ended up giving him a scholarship as well, even though he hadn't applied for one.
Wow.
And we gave him a scholarship to help him out.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you found a lot of ways to help the community.
Hopefully Leo will come back and teach for us.
Yes. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about the artists in your club? I know you said there's different types of art. I don't know if you have any stories of the artists and how they've been impacted by your club, or...
We've got so many artists, like I said, between 500 and 600, and unfortunately I can't even remember everybody's names, but it's such a great group, and I think that the art club has been so beneficial for these people. Over and above art being our common denominator between all of us, whether we have different mediums or not. I have people come in and say, this is my happy place. I'm so glad to be here. And the more involved you get, the more friends you make, and it really is like a family. We have had artists that have lost their spouse, and everybody's been there for them. We've had artists that have gotten sick and needed to set up home health care, and until they were able to do that, we've all take turns spending the night at their house and help them take care until they get nurses in place. It's just, if some of our artists are older, they live alone, and if we haven't heard from them in a while, people check in, and like I said, the more involved.
Sounds like a very supportive group.
It is. It's a family. Before I lived here, I lived in Massachusetts for 25 years, and I say I made more friends here in 1 year than I did 25 years in Massachusetts.
Wow.
I mean, hands down, it's just a very warm, welcoming community. And like I said, the more involved you get, the more you get to feel that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of benefits to being with the club.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love that so much.
And I think that, we've got artists of all age. We've got literally from like 5, 6 years old to in their 90s. And I just think that having that community is so, you hear stories all the time about people, they retire and then a year or two after they retire, they pass away because they're just not doing anything. This keeps people young and vibrant
Yeah,
and active.
absolutely.
And, we try to come up, if they get old enough where they're like, I don't want to put up a tent and do a show anymore. I've aged out of that. We create a lot of other opportunities for them, and they're very vibrant.
So what are the
parts.
opportunities outside of events?
Being part of the committees, we're to help us start our school. We're working this summer on doing an online classes. A lot of the older people either can't teach in person or like, for instance, my medium, I can't bring all the equipment, woodworking equipment, to the club and teach, and I can't have people doing it in my shop because I'm not insured if somebody cuts a finger off. But I can do a class online and have it from beginning to end and have people be able to see it online. And that's what,
great.
a lot of our older people can do as well, is just set up their phone on a tripod and they can do a voiceover talking through the process. And, they might not be able to put up a tent and sell at a show, but they still have so much to give and so much
great.
experience to
So
pull from.
it allows, more opportunities for people to be involved outside of being in person. That's great.
And we have people in all facets. I mean, we've got a treasurer, we've got a recording secretary, we have people that write, a historian, we have people that write background for our press releases and stuff like that. So there's just we're always looking for a videographer to help us with these online classes. So the digital art has been important too, because that's kind of the wave of the future too. If kids are going to really make money, graphic design is one of the ways that they can. So we have a vast collection of people, and there's all kinds of opportunities. So we always do a survey when they're new and say, what were you in your past life? Because we can get a job for you.
That's true. That's true. So. I don't know if you have anything else that you wanted to add in addition to what we've spoken.
I think we've got our birthday party coming up in October, which is all of our events are fundraisers. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Like I said, over 500 members, and we only have 2 paid employees.
Okay.
Everything else we do is through donations and volunteer hours. Okay. And you don't even have to be a member of the club to volunteer. Some of our big events, we're like Under the Oaks, we're always looking for people to be donation collectors, to, do a number of things. So people will say, why do I want to donate to the Vero Beach Art Club? It's a bunch of old ladies coloring. And I can say, no, we're so much more.
Yes.
And so much of your money goes back to helping the community and through some of these art
through
projects so I think that's the benefit of the club. And we until this year we have never applied for or received a grant. We finally just received a grant this year. We've received 2.
90 years and you never applied for a grant.
Everything has been done under donations and volunteer hours.
Wow. It shows you the support you have from
exactly.
the community.
It's amazing what we pull off with these volunteers, and it's just they're passionate. They care about the club. They care about the arts. They care about the community, and it's just a really passionate group of people.
That's great. Yeah. I did want to bring up Under the Oaks again, because that is the event I know a lot of people have heard of. It's well known throughout the country, not just even Florida and our community. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I think I heard, was it over 60,000 people?
Yeah, the police department keeps track of the traffic, and they say we pull in 50 to 60,000 people every year. That's one of our grants was from the tourism division. We do surveys every year as well with the artists and where they're coming from. We literally have artists from all around the world. It's not just the United States.
Wow.
It's been ranked as high as the 8th art show and fine art show in the country.
Wow.
And so
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And we're looking to improve every year. We're adding we added some more booths this year. We added a tent as a cooling station, relax station. We put some live music in. We had a lot of food trucks. We had one of the landscapers in town put plants all around to kind of dress the place up. So we did a lot to dress it up, and we still see areas that have room for improvement, and we just want to keep making it bigger and better. And it's the the biggest draw for tourism in Indian River County.
Well, and that's what I want to talk about too, because there's an economic impact as well
Yes.
too. Because when people come to visit, they're obviously visiting our shops and staying in our hotels,
And we do the surveys with the artists, and we ask, what hotels are you staying at? What restaurants have you gone to? What shops have you gone to? And that, of course, helps us with the tourism grant that we received. And our grant this year was $10,000 to spend advertising Under the Oaks outside of Indian River County.
Oh, nice.
So we advertised in many other counties
to bring
of
even
Florida,
more people
bringing
from
more
outside.
people in.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the economic impact
It
is
is
definitely impressive.
It's phenomenal.
Do you have any idea as far as numbers or
For
the economic impact to the community?
I'm not sure that we have that. Our staff works on trying to calculate as many of the numbers as possible. We don't have a very good way of doing surveys for the patrons right now.
Okay.
Because people are excited to get in and they don't want to fill out surveys and stuff like that. So we're basing a lot of our stuff off of the artists and then the feedback we get from the patrons. It would be nice to be able to quantify it more with the patrons coming in, but getting those numbers from the police department's key for us.
Okay. Well, it's definitely, I was born and raised in Vero myself, and I've been going to Under the Oaks my whole life.
Okay.
And I believe it's the 75th year this past year.
Yes, this was their 75th
So,
year.
so not only has the club been around a while, but the event's been going on for quite a while too.
Yep.
So it's exciting. But, yeah, and I've seen that improvement too, of it growing every year, and it's exciting to see that.
It's something we're really proud of. That's our main fundraiser for the year, and what the club earns from that helps us keep the lights on all year long. So
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Michelle.
thanks for having me.
It was wonderful talking to you and learning a little bit more about the art club. And if you'd like to get involved with the art club, I'm going to be providing more information in the description below. So feel free to visit their website. A lot of great information there. They also have a Facebook page too that you can like and follow. Thanks again.
And we're looking forward to you joining the art club again.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to.
Yeah,
So,
we'd love to have you.
all right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.